Okay, first of all, my topic of the chosen for this time is about very big world event. It's COVID-19. In the middle of this, I mainly studied about the risk factors of the deaths in hospitalized patients. And this mainly associated with the knowledge point in our courses was its logistic regression model. Now, uh, let me introduce myself first. And I am a Changsha native from the Hunan province, China. Because of the chance that makes me to choosing to come study abroad, because I'm interested in numbers and analysis, so I choose the major statistic. And from my future direction and plan, I wanted to become a data analyst or music producer. Why this music producer here? Because not only I like the numbers and also like the lyric in music. So I like listening to music too. I have been practicing the piano since I was 4 years old. But one thing I regretted is that I didn't stick to it until now. But now I'm become an independent musician through my own work. And I also have my own lyric and music on my own website. Okay, let's back to the slide. As promised, I will now explain how we will gather data from the observational study. Our main goal was to find out how COVID-19 affected patients linked to the Trujillo, especially those who was already taking medicine for the virus. We used a cross-sectional correlational historical design and a quantitatively method for our study, which ran from the March and May 2020. We picked up 64 patients from the Trujillo area using data from the health office system. To make sure the trustworthiness of our study, these patients were carefully picked based on the certain factors. As part of the gathering data, we looked at papers using a data sheet that had been acceptable by Ministry of Health. The National Center of the Epidemiology, Prevention and Control of the Disease System kept an eye on the very important process to make sure it met the highest standards and honesty and truth. In our study, we looked at the numbers of the factors such as biological factors like gender, age, social factors like work, or the clinical factors like the patient's symptoms, and we were able to learn more about how the virus affect our chosen group by taking this all-around method. And I want to talk about an important part of the fight against the COVID-19 today, figuring out who was most at risk and why. COVID-19 has shown us how fragile our population can be, but we can start to lessen its effects by finding traits and conditionals that people will share. There are two main goals for our study from the start. First, we want to make a logistic regression model that will help experts the Trujillo area figure out how likely it's that COVID-19 admitted patients will die. It's not just about members. We need to know more about the risk in order to save lives, right? Second, we're trying to our plan to make sure it works well. This means figuring out the model's degree of fit, which is measured of the how well it predicts and what will happen. If our model can correctly predict how many COVID-19 hospitalized patients will die, we can use that information to stop deaths before they happen and make treatment more effective and eventually save lives, as we said. Even though our goal was big, The stake could not be higher. Finding exactly risk factors is a very important step towards keeping our community safe from the worst effects of the pandemic. Using the words method, binary logistic regression analysis was used to find a biological, social, and clinical factors that will link to the risk of the death in COVID-19. The rho curve was used to figure out how well the model fit the data, and the facts used to make the logistic regression model are shown in table 4. It's right here. And the age, gender, cause, the respiratory distress, and something else like the breath problem or something. And similar risk factors for the death include getting older and having breathing problem while in the hospital. And the fit well study from the Institute of Experimental Medicine of the Bureau and China, which says that the death is common in the older people. And to conclusion of the study, let's get right to the point of that what we study show us. Our logistic regression model has been able to find the most important factors to increase the risk of death among COVID-19 patients. It turns out that the most important biological factors that determine the chance and the age and gender. It's interesting that we didn't include social factors in our model. Instead, we focused on the health factors. This include cough and the breathing problem as well as other health problems, especially the diabetes. These factors are very important to figure out the risk of the death in COVID-19 cases. Now, let's talk about how well our model works. It correctly groups 90.6% of the case into the right category. The factors of the discrimination back up this actually. They show that our model can explain a lot of the variety. Our study gave us a good way to figure out how likely is that COVID-19 admitted patients will die. Key factors include age, gender, the certain symptoms, and database. We can now better care for the handout patients during this pandemic, and thanks this big step. In the end, this is the reference I chose for these slides and this presentation. I'm Wei. Thank you.